And welcome back to another edition of the Podmen. I'm Brad.
I'm Brian.
Podmen Ron.
And Brian, as you move closer to the microphone, you may have slipped into a Podman Ron state where you were in the open and you're talking to yourself, apparently.
Possibly, yeah. I got a picture of some G.I. Joes that somebody picked up, so I'm trying to make a deal for the ones that I need.
Try not to get too excited.
Hard.
We are doing the podcast, and we've got a lot to talk about. I mean, it's been at least a solid month since we've recorded, I would say. Does that sound about right?
That sounds at least 3 weeks.
It's probably been about 3 weeks.
Wow. Well, a lot has certainly happened news-wise in the past 3 weeks. Has it really, though? We've had more people on the in memoriam section than we've ever had, I think. This has not been a kind 2022. But before we get to that, let's hit the news. And Brian, if we can turn your attention to the news, we know that Brian is just face down in these G.I. Joe figures, trying to figure out what he needs here. A lot of stuff announced over the past 3 weeks or so. We have quite a list here. Starting at the top of the list, Godzilla TV on Apple TV. It's probably in the pretty early stages, but the big green guy may be making a comeback here.
Yeah, which is interesting because it seems like the movie verse is moving along pretty well. I assume it would be independent of the movies.
I don't know.
Is it kind of like a Disney Plus thing where, it's in canon with the movies?
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I think it just got announced that it was in development, so it has plenty of time to be canceled before it actually hits air nowadays, because there's a lot of that stuff, it seems like, happening around.
I mean, honestly, what can you do with a weekly Godzilla TV show? I mean, do we get the, does it go out?
What's he going to destroy now?
Well, you focus, just like The Walking Dead, you focus on the individuals that have to live in a world where Godzilla is on a rampage.
So in the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes, it shows Godzilla.
You just see a foot.
That's all.
Like on episode 3, like somebody standing in the street, and you just see a foot crush him and then move on, but it never pans up. Yeah.
Let's see. If you go back a couple of years, my disappointment with the second Godzilla movie was that they should have, or I guess it's the third one, that they should have kept with the Monarch, as using Monarch, which was the agency tracking all the giant monsters, use them like S.H.I.E.L.D. and focus on that, and then to your point, the monsters side. So
they even had like a
helicarrier,
their flying base, yeah.
Yeah. So, but no one listens to us on the Podmen, do they? As far as what they should do,
they'd be a lot better if they did.
They would be a lot better off. Speaking of G.I. Joe, Brian, G.I. Joe and Transformers, IDW Comics, another mashup coming?
Yeah, so IDW, who's had the license for G.I. Joe and Transformers for like 15 years now, they're losing the rights, and it's going over to Skybound, which Skybound is headed by Robert Kirkman. So Invincible is Skybound, Walking Dead is Skybound, right? My thought with this was, Hasbro probably, at least there's a thought process around, if anybody can get G.I. Joe moved into a movie or into a television show, it's Kirkman. So if they're hitching their wagon to Skybound, chances are that's probably pretty good for G.I. Joe. Maybe not so much Transformers, because Transformers has already, made money at the box office. But I would love to see G.I. Joe as a television series instead of a movie. You could have multiple series. Like you could
spin off a lot of stuff from it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different teams.
I don't understand why they don't. And if they do it, if they ever do a TV show, they just need to embrace the code names, I don't want to say the silliness of the comics, but they need to be true to the comics from the 80s, in my opinion.
Well, and you could even, because G.I. Joe, you've got it's you've got people that are you've got great characters on both sides of the fence. Really, a lot of depth on the bench on both sides of the fence, where you could say, okay, this is the Joe side of the story, and this is the Cobra side of the story, and even have two different shows. We've mentioned it before, but there was a book that came out about 8 years ago called Cobra's Last Laugh, and it's got Chuckles, who's one of the Joes, goes undercover and basically infiltrates the Cobra organization. And so he was the only Joe that appeared in the book at all. But it basically took you around and introduced you to all of the Cobra characters. They're even like people like Big Boa, who was going to be Rocky Balboa. Do you guys know that story?
Huh.
Okay, I'll tell you that everything. But like Big Boa is like the boxing guy. He was a goofy figure. He had like a helmet and like suspenders and pants. And
Nothing regulation.
Gloves. Right, nothing regulation. He didn't go with a gun.
He just had his boxing gloves. Okay, that makes sense.
But so you even did a deep dive into that sort of stuff, and I think it went for like 30-ish issues. So yeah, you could have, all right, well, here's G.I. Joe, here's Cobra, and have them merge together at some point, but this is how you introduce everybody to both teams. But like as a sidebar, Big Boa was supposed to be, they were going to do a Rocky Balboa action figure for G.I. Joe. Did you guys know that?
No.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So yeah, they did Sergeant Slaughter, and that was a big hit. And then they did Refrigerator Perry, and that was a big hit. They were both mail-aways. And they were going to do Rocky. And so it was going to be Rocky, and he was going to be wearing like a cut-off sweatshirt, and he was going to have the gloves and like just, like blue pants, like sweatpants and shoes. And because of Rambo getting a cartoon show, they pulled it back. They're like, no, you can't have Rocky. But Rocky was going to be a G.I. Joe action figure. And what they did was they retooled the figure to make him Big Boa. So, and they put a helmet on him. And that's why he's called Big Boa instead of Rocky Balboa.
So, well, there you go.
There you go.
Very, very cool.
There you go.
Little history
G.I. Joe
lesson
history
for you there.
There you
go. Well, while we're on the cartoon bent, there's yet another death in the Justice League family. Evidently, the new thing is they're going to kill off all the big members of the Justice League.
Yeah, because it's the 30th anniversary of Death of Superman.
Oh, okay. So they just kill off all of them. Anyone that's close to Superman.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
so they're going to, instead of killing off Superman, they're killing off everybody. They said one league member will survive, but they won't say who. And this is after Bendis leaves the book. So Joshua Williamson's taken over the book, and that's going to be the first big story arc, is Death in the Justice League. So,
all right, we'll see how long that takes to reverse.
Not long, I'm sure it won't.
The Justice League goes to hell after the Suicide Squad kills them, I guess, right?
Exactly. Which that got postponed until 2023.
Yeah.
What
COVID.
Justice League, Suicide Squad kills the Justice League.
Oh, that game?
The game, yeah, it got postponed to 2023. So, that's okay.
That's okay.
Just make it good.
Yeah, there you go. Speaking of good, A Christmas Story. A little early or late, depending on how you look at it. But A Christmas Story sequel is in the works with, and is it a age-appropriate Ralphie? Is it Old Man Ralphie?
Yeah, Peter Billingsley is supposed to be back as Ralphie, but you don't know if it's going to be set. I would assume it's going to be set in like the 80s.
Yeah, how he would have grown up, right? As opposed,
because the first one was set in the 50s, right?
Early 50s, I would guess. Yeah.
Yeah, early 50s. Yeah. So I'm assuming, it's going to be. He's like 40. He's probably more like 50, but he'll play 40 and it'll be set in 80s. It'd be cool if it was set in like 81, 82 when Christmas Story actually came out.
There you go. That would be interesting. Yeah. So it did have. There was a Christmas Story sequel.
Yeah, there was.
And then there was that was a sequel to Christmas Story that was called Christmas Story 2 or whatever.
But he was a teenager during that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there was another movie that was based off of the writings of Gene Shepherd or whatever, but it had nothing to do with Christmas. But I think it was Ralphie and his brother and all that stuff, like at summer camp or something like that.
But here's the thing: considering that no one's practically heard of those, why are they making another sequel? It's not like anybody's going to watch
exactly.
I mean, I don't.
The Christmas Story fanboys are going to come out of the woodworks complaining about the continuity, I think.
No, honestly, the only reason there's Christmas Story...
Not my Ralphie.
The only reason there's Christmas Story fans is because TBS played it 24 hours a day on Christmas Day, and it was a big deal to, I'll watch Christmas Story on Christmas Day because they played it 24 hours. When it came out back in the 80s, no one gave a shit about it. It did terrible at the box office. So there's the Debbie Downer in me.
Wow. All right. Well, maybe you'll be more excited about another fan favorite returning, King of the Hill.
I am very excited about King of the Hill.
Now, is this like the Godzilla TV show? This was just kind of announced as, hey, we're going to be doing this, but it's maybe take a couple of years.
They've been talking about this for several years, and they finally got everybody on board, I guess. I mean, everything from the 90s is getting revived anyway, so this is a show that, hell, if The Simpsons could last as long as they did, King of the Hill should have. It was a great show. It never jumped the shark. It was always good.
Well, speaking of jumping the shark from the 90s, Joss Whedon, again, this is a month old, but issued kind of an apology.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
In his mind, I think he did. He basically said, that woman doesn't understand English, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
Yeah, he said, this is what the quote says. So he addressed the rumors that he threatened Gal Gadot in her career in Justice League, but he said his response was, "I don't threaten people," said Whedon. "Who does that?" He added. English is not her first language. I tend to be annoyingly flowery in my speech. Let's see. The director then jokingly said that if Gal Gadot wanted to get rid of it, a certain scene, she would have to tie him to a railroad track and do it over his dead body. Whedon explained, then I was told that I had said something about her dead body and tying her to a railroad track. Gal Gadot responded by saying in an interview, I understood perfectly. So
very confusing.
Yeah.
Very confusing.
His apology is she doesn't speak English very well.
Women.
Well, actually, you know what? The way he said it, it makes more sense than if he would have said that to her. But didn't he call Ray Fisher a bad actor too?
Yeah.
Well, and Ray Fisher, I don't think he's been in anything else. So maybe he was onto something there. I kid, of course. But it does kind of make. I mean, I haven't rewatched Buffy in a long time, but even like the first Avengers or something, it puts a stigma on everything that Joss Whedon touched a little bit, doesn't it? Knowing that he's a creep. I mean, again, we were talking beforehand.
Well,
pretty much everybody in power is going to be a little bit of a creep, but when you know they're a creep or highly suspect they're a creep, it makes it worse. It's better if we didn't know.
Well, a lot of the stuff I've learned about him since all this was, he worked on Roseanne and everything, but his parents were like big time writers in Hollywood, so everything he kind of got in those early days was kind of like given to them. So everybody says he's always been kind of a spoiled brat in those days. Then he got Buffy and kind of took with it, and he became a celebrity in his own right because of Buffy, and his ego just got even worse. So, but whatever. He made good TV. Fuck it.
Yeah, there you go. What else we got here? a little bit. So we've seen bits and pieces, pictures of Secret Invasion of Samuel L. Jackson and Game of Thrones lady, and maybe even a little bit of hint that Happy was a Skrull the whole time, part of the time, some of the time when he was dating Aunt May. When was Happy a Skrull?
Yeah, well, so they said in Iron Man 3, the original script had a Happy die, like when he's in front of Man's Chinese Theater, and the guy with the
somebody blew something up.
They blew him up. That he died in that scene, and but then you find he's in the hospital. Well, if you're looking for, so the big rumor now, or the big sort of fan theory, is that he did die and was replaced with a Skrull even then. And so ever since that scene, Happy's been a Skrull. Because at some point, you've got to have the big, when we get into the Secret War TV show, you got to have the big, holy shit, he was a Skrull
something
the whole
happened
time.
a while back, yeah.
Yeah, you got, it's just too rife and too easy to just go back in and say, Happy was a Skrull the whole time, right? Especially since all the Skrulls we've seen in the Captain Marvel movie are complete doofuses. So
maybe they take on a little personality when they change shapes or something.
Maybe so. But what was the one, Talos? What was that Skrull?
Something like that, yeah.
What a goob. So you've got to go in and say, all right, how do we have that shock? That, so easy one is going to be him, right? You kind of go through the MCU and go, who could they replace and say was a Skrull all along that would still be like Maria Hill? Like, you could easily say Maria Hill was a Skrull, and that's, or Sharon Carter or something like that. Something that it's going to be used in the Secret Invasion show, which you assume is going to be really heavily shield and sword driven. Right. So, yeah. PMR, do you have any picks for who might be a Skrull?
Have to be a good choice. I'm thinking on Black Widow Skrull.
Oh. The one that died.
The one that died. Yeah, I'm actually. Why not? That would be a way to bring her back.
Oh, well, you could also this would be a nice twist. You could come back and say the Black Widow that died was a Skrull, but the Black Widow that didn't die, the one that the Skrulls took and used to copy her, because that was the whole storyline in the comic, was they needed their DNA on file, so they didn't kill them. They had them all on this ship, right, where they had access to their DNA. But you could say, well, the Black Widow that died was a Skrull, but the original is still alive, but she never turned good. She's still
that could be Clint Barton. Was actually the one that he became friends with, and is the one that was a Skrull. That would be a good idea. That would actually be kind of cool. That would be a really cool twist in all that.
Yeah, and then the one that comes back was always evil. She never joined the Avengers. She was always a Russian spy.
Wow.
Yeah, so, actually, that'd be a really big twist.
Another gimme from the Podman.
There you go, Marvel.
I swear to God, won't they listen to us?
They never
That'll
listen.
Be something. It'll be like, fucking.
They'll introduce a character at the beginning of the first episode and expect you to be shocked at the end of the episode when they're
yeah.
All right.
Come on. Well, in all honesty, the comic book did the same way. The comic book had every opportunity to really fix a lot of stuff back then, and they really did nothing. They fixed, like, Mockingbird coming back to life, and that was pretty much the big fix of all of that. During that time, that's when Captain America was dead. They could have fixed him. They could have fixed all the shit going on with the Vision. They could have fixed the crappy Beast. They could have fixed all kind of, like, 20 years worth of crappy Marvel decisions over the years. They could have retconned it, fixed it all, but they did one thing, was bring Mockingbird back during all that. That was
historically, that's been a win for DC, though. Maybe not in recent years, but historically, when DC would have a crisis, they would actually go and try and fix, like, everything.
Yeah, and I think that's how you should do it. I was so pissed during that, because I thought Secret Invasion was a cool storyline and a great idea to retcon stuff. That, terrible editorial decisions and character changes over the past, 20 years that they had done. I'm like, okay, this is where they're going to do it. This is a smart move. And they didn't. They did nothing. It was like, are you kidding me? This is horrible. So,
well, imagine being a writer in that room, like, because they go off these conferences and stuff, and it's like, hey, you can do this, you can do this, you can fix this, you can fix that. Somebody said that, and
right.
They're like,
nah.
Yeah, it's too much work.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, really, come on, man, retcon this crap that y'all done. But so I'm hoping they do a little bit more shock value with the TV show than they did in the comic book, because it was really no big shock values in the comic book whatsoever. So looking forward to it still.
Yeah.
5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
And finally in news, DC 007. Who is this Stringer Bell, Brian? I'm unfamiliar with this human being.
Idris Elba.
Oh,
Stringer
okay.
Bell
That's why I was
was
like, who is this person? Okay, is that confirmed?
Is it confirmed?
No, but they have said that he's in the running. Like they confirmed that Idris Elba is on the list of. He's on the call sheet.
And I've always said that I would love Idris Elba to be James Bond, but I think he's getting a little old now. So
I know. I don't know why they keep going with these old actors.
They'll probably make him M.
No, they better not. They'd get a backlash, but I think he'd make a perfect James Bond, but I think they're probably about 10 years too late.
Yeah.
But yeah, Stringer Bell is his character from The Wire. That everyone other than two of the three of us on the podcast would know immediately who Stringer Bell was.
No. All right. Casting wise, who's who in the casting world, Brian?
We got some rumors today, and God damn it, I don't understand what Sony's doing, but they've announced today that Dakota Johnson is rumored to be cast as would you like to guess who, PMR, in the Spider-Man universe? Dakota Johnson.
It's got to be
Don Johnson and Melanie Griffith's daughter.
I know.
Spider Girl.
Black Cat. Black Cat?
Nope.
May Parker.
Madam Web.
Madam Web.
Excellent. Finally.
Madam Web's an old lady, and it's not like she's going to be Madam Web.
Lame. So there's that too.
It's not that she's going to be Madam Web in Spider-Man 4 or Madam Web.
She's getting her own movie.
She's getting her own movie.
Oh, thank God!
What?
Finally.
What?
Hashtag finally.
Is it going direct to streaming? I mean, no one's going to go watch that. No one is going to go pay money.
The movie you've all been waiting for.
Madam Web.
Now, other people are theorizing that the casting's there, but she'll actually be a character in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man 3. But the way the reports it's being reported right now, she's going to be in her own Madam Web movie. So. All
right, well, that's what's going to bring cinema back. That's what's going to bring people back into the movie theaters.
So,
I don't know what Sony's doing. Marvel's like, here, we're going to give you all this on a silver platter, and they're like, okay, thanks, but we're just going to do our own thing and make Madam Web.
Yeah, here's the biggest grossing movie you've ever made.
Yeah.
On a platter. And let's greenlight Madam Web.
Let's follow it up with Madam Web.
We've served up.
People love Spider-Man, so makes sense.
Wait till you see Morbius.
Yeah. Sony just is like, the first time diving off a diving board. They kind of come up like, nah, they go close. No, they're going to go back. I mean, Morbius is.
They literally fixed their Spider-Man problem. Literally fixed it. Gave them two Spider-Mans. They gave them 2 opportunities to tell 2 different Spider-Man stories, and they just chunk it out and say, fuck it, we're going to go with Madam Web.
People want to see Silver Sable.
Yeah, exactly. Now, there was another little tidbit of news. I didn't post it to you guys. I don't know if you saw it. But I found it weird, and we commented on this, that it was like, why was there only 5 villains in Spider-Man Far From Home?
Right.
You know, because the Sinister Six is such a big deal, you know, in the Spider-Man universe. Well, there's production, not stills, but production art that's leaked that shows Mysterio fighting Doctor Strange at the top of the
Captain America
Statue of Liberty, or the Captain America statue. So there's production or pre-production artwork that shows Mysterio fighting Doctor Strange. So you know it was going to be that it was revealed that he didn't die, and that was going to be your 6th member of Sinister Six. And then it just got, I guess it got so convoluted, they just kind of, well, and honestly, they should have just gotten rid of, if they weren't going to have 6, they might as well have just gotten rid of Lizard and Sandman, because they didn't add anything to the plot. But yeah. So at one point, it was supposed to be 6 with Mysterio.
Yeah, that never made sense to me, why they didn't do, just to add one more person. I mean, just one more.
That's all you need, one more villain. To turn good, just to turn their heart around a little bit. One more. That's all. Speaking of turning people's hearts around, Picard, a new Picard trailer to make you warm your old heart. There, Podman Ron. You love Star Trek, Podman Ron.
I did.
I did.
And you know
what?
The
first 50 years of my life, I did.
Yeah. They gave you too much Star Trek, maybe. That's what Sony needs to learn. Too much Spider-Man is a bad thing. We don't need this extended universe of Star Trek.
No, if it was done right, they could do it. But I don't know what the fuck they're doing with all this shit now.
So tell me about what's going on with Picard. This is season 3, season 2?
Season 2, looks like it's going to be a time travel story. He's coming back to, nothing says low budget than
2022.
You got to come back to 2022.
Interesting.
To do something for, you know, whatever year it is, 2900, 29. No, I think it really is $29.99.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's coming back for that, and it's you know, Picard went off the rails that first
in
season
1.
That was 2 years ago. I cannot believe that was 2 years ago. That's how time is flying so fast. But you know, when he dies at the end of his show, and they put his body in a robotic body, and they tell him that they've aged him to his appropriate age. What the fuck is that? I mean, this was an opportunity to cast a young person as Picard, and maybe, you know, have old Picard guest star every once in a while. But
young Tom Hardy, yeah.
You know, we aged you to the
chef's kiss perfection.
Yeah, to 7 minutes before you died.
Yeah. What the fuck did you do that? What? What are you, numbskulls? What the fuck?
Yeah, it's like they had the perfect opportunity to bring some new life into it and give you, you know, 5 more seasons of this show. Nah, just make it Patrick Stewart again.
Good enough.
Imagine you have died. All right, you die at 90 years old.
All the aches
and make a way to save your soul and put it into a robotic body. And when you wake up, you're still a fucking 90-year-old man. And you go, what
Son
the
of a
fuck?
bitch.
And they tell you that, oh, you're going to age, you know, to your appropriate death age at like 100 or something. And you're like, why? Why'd you do that? Why?
Make it so.
Not maybe 25 again? I would have taken 40 at this point.
A youthful 40.
All the
right. The back
joints,
pain.
All the back pain.
The bladder problems.
It's all there.
Yeah.
Don't worry. It's all there.
Send me back
we
to
synthesized
not going to miss out on pissing in the bed or anything.
Send me back to my Spry 48.
I mean, that was the most absurd storytelling I've ever heard when they explained that to him, and I'm like, what? If they didn't have a hair on their ass as a writer, if they didn't have Picard go, well, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Why did y'all do that? Why did y'all make me 90 again?
Who? So in last season, refresh my memory. Who was? Was it B4? Was B4 the one that was? Or was that Noonien Soon?
That was Noonien Soon's son.
Okay.
So that was the way they bring back Brent Spiner without an aged Brent Spiner. So
okay.
Yeah. And then let's not even talk about Data. He died. He'd been living in this computer all these years, but he just wants to die. It's like, well, can y'all not put Data in a body? All these years, y'all couldn't put him in a body.
They had a body right there.
They had a body. But
Data.
It made no goddamn sense.
Well, you're getting a season 2.
So I'm hoping season 2 makes a little bit more sense.
I just hope they reference those fucking whales.
They've got to.
What, the Hunchback whale?
Yeah, the whales that Kirk stole.
Right.
In 84.
Somewhere along the line, he's got to go by an ocean or an aquarium or whatever, and there's got to be a and Picard kind of mug at the camera or something like that.
I would love for them to walk by, and there's 2. Have you seen?
Yeah. Have you seen these whales? And they're aged. The whales are aged, digitally aged to what they would look like in 2022.
That would be great.
Oh, Picard, you wily bastard.
You know what? If they're going to write shit like that, then they might as well just do shit.
Yeah, embrace it, right?
Embrace the absurdity.
Look, here's the thing. It could just be a one-off. They walk past the San Diego Zoo or wherever it was, the San Diego Aquarium, and there's just a missing person sign up, but it's the 2 hunchback whales.
Yeah.
Or if they don't want to do the whales, they could do the girl that left with Kirk.
Yeah. Or even just the names of the whales, because weren't they like Bernie and Max or something like that? It was like normal human names, so it'd be pretty.
Gracie and George and Gracie. Or something.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it was George and Gracie. I think. Yeah,
that's so sad. That is so sad. All right. Well, the
Sock could be a person of interest with his headband, and the robe. A person of interest in their disappearance.
Maybe leading a cult.
That would be great.
Suspected cult leader steals whales.
What else you got, Brian? A Halo trailer. So what is Halo about here?
So Halo's Microsoft came out on the first Xbox. It was their big core title was Halo, and it's aliens, it's space marines. There's Master Chief is the main character, right? And there's like an alien invasion, and there's artifacts and all that good stuff. But Master Chief's really well known. People love that character in those games. We're up to we've had 5 core Halo games. You had the newest one being Halo Infinity, and now for a long time they were trying to make a Halo TV series or Halo movie that
Hello Kitty,
not Guillermo del Toro, Lord of the Rings guy. What's his name?
Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson was tied to, and when the Halo movie got squashed, that's when they used a lot of the effects that they had created for the movie in District 9.
Oh, okay.
With was it Neil Blomkamp?
Yep.
So, but yeah, so District 9 ended up being sprung out of all the pre-production stuff Whedon did for the Halo movie became that. And they've been trying to get, and then Peter Jackson left. They've been trying for years to get Halo, and now Halo is going to be on Paramount Plus. So
okay, along with Picard.
it's with Picard.
Excellent.
It starts in March. So they're finally launching something that's not Star Trek driven.
All right.
So they're branching out.
All right. They're branching out.
It was a good trailer. It's like a 4-minute trailer.
Oh, wow.
I saw a lot. So.
All right. Well, hopefully a brand new franchise to love.
And Master Chief's being played by Porn Stash.
Who?
Pablo Schreiber. Did you
Oh,
watch
okay.
Orange is the New Black?
I never saw that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the guy. I mean, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah. Porn Stash is playing Master Chief. Although you never see Master Chief.
Right. I was about to say he's kind of a Mandalorian type character, right?
Yeah, he's a Mando character, not a Boba Fett. Like, can somebody hold this helmet, please?
You either go Commando or Mando.
That's right.
Keep it
Commando
all on or
Mando.
let it all loose.
There you go. That's perfect.
All right. You can put that on the Instagram there, Brian. I'll let you have that one.
Commando or Mando.
Yeah.
T-shirt.
All right. Well, let's head downtown to Memoriam Town. So many great people we've lost over the past several weeks here. Starting with my person, Yvette Mimo. I first came to know her from the 1950s classic Where the Boys Are, about some Midwestern girls going on spring break finding love, where she played the girl that got in trouble. The whore of the group, yes. You figured that Paula Prentice would end up being the whore, but no, it was Yvette. But you guys likely know her as Kate, somebody or another, from The Black Hole.
She was the female in the show?
She was the only female in the show in The Black Hole. How about that?
What, about 6 months ago?
Yeah, and you loved it.
Terrible movie.
You were just
Good
waiting.
robots. Terrible movie.
Oh, great robots, terrible movie.
Great robots. Terrible movie.
Well, God bless her. She was also in the Time Machine movie from the 60s. So she was.
That though is I didn't even hear that she had died. So there's
Well,
that.
You know what?
That's why you listen to the podcast.
You just reminded me of this, Brad. For the next podcast, because you mentioned the Time Machine, I bought it like 6 months ago and have not watched it. I'm watching Time After Time.
Oh,
that's a
okay.
good movie.
You know what?
That's an awesome.
Yeah. Podman Ron remembers when he was 16 years old. It was an awesome movie. I want to hear what you think, because I've watched it maybe like 10 years ago, and it was painful to get through. I mean, great concept.
Yeah, I'm watching Time After Time.
Great concept. Okay, well, you can after that you can watch Somewhere in Time and let us know how those time travel movies go for you.
Okay, all right, that's it. There you go. I will do it.
When did this chick from Black Hole die?
3 weeks ago.
It didn't make the major news, did it?
Well, we're talking about it.
Some people were aware of it. Not many, but some. Some people were aware of it. All right, the other person that passed away recently, Meatloaf. Meatloaf from all your favorite songs in the 70s or 80s, late 70s, early 80s.
It was late 70s, yeah. Bat Out of Hell.
Bad out of
And
hell.
that was it. Yeah,
Bad out of hell.
What was the...
I would
do anything
for love.
For love.
And then gained a little bit notable.
But I won't wear a mask.
No, he will not wear a mask. Oh, Meatloaf.
I mean, it's confirmed that he died from COVID complications, right?
I think so. But again, facts are sketchy.
We're on the mask thing real quick. Did anybody watch?
Let's get a little political.
Well,
No. Did anybody watch the season premiere of South Park Wednesday night? It was Pajama Day, and the town was in support of these kids who weren't allowed to wear their pajamas, and so it was like half the town wanted pajamas, the other half didn't want to wear them, and it was pretty funny. It was like everybody was calling each other Nazis and fascists. It was like, beating each other up because you're not wearing your pajamas. You can't come in here without pajamas on.
That's pretty good.
And yeah, it was really funny. They were just making fun of both right and left. So
As well they
still,
should.
Still a strong show. Still a good show if you haven't been watching it lately.
Well, I'm sure
All right,
Meatloaf would have loved it.
Sorry, yeah, Meatloaf would have loved that South Park episode.
Also gained notoriety for playing a very bit role in Fight Club as a transsexual. I don't know what he was. What type of addiction he had, but he was in the like the AA meetings or whatever stuff.
Was he transsexual or didn't he just have like man tits?
Oh, maybe, I don't know. It's, you know what? Question for the ages. I never understood Fight Club. I didn't really get it. Maybe he wasn't even really there. Speaking of old fat people with really big tits, Louis Anderson died too.
Oh,
Louis Anderson's dad. And, I mean, he was a big comedian in the 80s, it felt like. Kind of went away. Was he?
what?
I think he
The
was.
late 80s. Like, he had his heyday, but like after...
He had his own
Coming to
cartoon,
America-
for Christ's sake.
Yeah, he did have his own
I was
cartoon.
just to say there was Little Louie, but
Yeah.
you know that and Family Feud. So there's
Oh,
that.
yeah, I
it was
forgot
about-
about Family Feud. You're right.
It was about 6 years between Coming to America and Little Louie, where he was beloved, and then Ray Combs left the feud,
Yep.
and Louis Anderson moved into the feud, and he had a resurgence with blankets,
Blanket, yeah. Or blanket. No, baskets.
baskets.
Yes.
That's right, baskets. There's
Fantastic.
a comic book called Blankets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, baskets.
Yeah, he was fantastic in baskets and may have, I'm sure he was nominated for some Emmys. I don't know if he won. I think
I
he
think
did.
he actually won.
I think he did as
Yeah.
well, yeah. But
Well,
yeah,
let me
he's
ask you this.
fantastic.
In baskets, is that show run its course? Because I'm looking for another show to watch. So
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah, it's over. It was, I loved the first season. I liked it, the whole thing. But it kind of, you had to stick with it.
okay.
Maybe
Have you watched Ozark yet?
yeah, it's really good.
The new season of it's out.
Yeah, I watched it. I
Okay.
binged through that. That was really good. I just part two's got to come out.
Absolute Alex keeps talking about The Chosen.
Yeah, we need
Thank you.
to watch that and review that.
Keeps blowing us up about The Chosen.
All right. Well, speaking of chosen, Howard Hessman was chosen to come home recently too. Dr. Johnny Fever from WKRP in Cincinnati. Probably wouldn't
Straight
know.
up.
Alex wouldn't know who he is, but he might. Also in Dr. Detroit. I'm sure he's
Also, head of the class.
head of the class.
Head of the class.
And that's pretty much it. No,
Where
he
he
was in
played,
a handful. He was in a lot of stuff, I imagine, right? Without looking at
I like
his bio.
Howard Hessman.
Everybody.
Howard Hessman was good. Yeah, he was a good guy. He was a good actor.
Here's some information.
Oh
And,
gosh.
my Apple Watch just opened up a Wikipedia about Howard Hessman.
Oh, okay. Here's some information about Howard Hessman.
Thank you, Apple Watch. I can't get you to open when I really need you to, but
Yeah, you're talking about Howard.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Here's some information they might be interested in. All right, so hopefully that's it for all the dead people. At least dead people in real life, but people are dying on the big screen as
it's
we.
going to be another 2016 where everybody kicked off in 2016. You remember that year? That was like a bloodbath of a year, man.
Bloodbath of a year.
It was, man. And this one's starting off strong. I mean,
It's not good. It ain't
Bob
good.
Saget, Betty White. Well, Betty White was Louis last year, but Bob Saget, Meatloaf, Louis Anderson, fucking Howard Hessman.
Everybody we just mentioned.
Yeah, Yvette Mimo. All right. Speaking of,
that's PMR complains
I
about
know,
Rocky
the flashbacks,
or it's a montage like 5 minutes after the first montage. It references the
he
first,
does the same thing. A lot of people have died. Yeah.
Louis Anderson.
Let's recap that again.
All right. So, speaking of bloodbaths, heading out to the movies, and I believe you two boys went and saw Scream. Scream 6, Scream 7, Scream 5. What Scream is
It's
this?
5.
Scream 5.
Scream 5.
Okay. And
Yeah, did you see it, PMR?
I did. I did.
All right. Yeah, I was forbade from talking about it in the last episode.
Exactly.
I'll let you talk about it. You saw it.
You saw it first, so you talk about it first.
What'd you think?
So Scream 4, it's interesting. I watched Scream 4 before I watched this. Scream 4 is not referenced at all in this movie, other than the sheriff, who was the deputy in Scream 4, is now the sheriff, right? And suddenly she's got a son, which was never spoken about in Scream 4, and all she did was keep hitting on Dewey in Scream 4. So in my mind...
Not a single mom.
Or maybe that was Dewey's illegitimate son.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and so what they did was, in reference back to the first movie, they went and said they established the rules, instead of establishing the rules about a final girl horror type movie or slasher film, they established the rules about a requel, right? So it's not a sequel, right?
Okay.
Or it's a sequel, but the cast has aged too much, and they need a reboot, but people hate reboots. And so they kind of coined the term, it's a requel. And so they mirror the scene from the first movie where Randy goes over the rules of how to survive a slasher film. They do this, it's how do you reboot a slasher film?
Okay.
How do you, with a requel? And so it's really meta, the scene and everything, which I enjoyed that part. Everybody in the film had a counterpart in the first movie.
Yeah.
So you see Randy's sister again, which she appeared, I think, in Scream 2. But she has 2 kids, and so Randy's niece and nephew are there. You've got the climax is at Stu's house. So, so they're having a knife fight in the kitchen where Billy and Stu were trying to kill Sidney. So you see that, which is pretty cool when you realize it's Stu's house. You've got what other characters we have that were from the first film, or from the preceding films, other than the final girl, which that was kind of a twist.
Are you going to give a spoiler here?
Yeah, we got spoilers, so if anybody hasn't seen it.
Yeah, be prepared.
Now, it really wasn't a twist, because it was an early...
It was early, but yeah. Yeah, so you find out that, and I don't remember her name, she was like the worst part of the film. She was really dull.
She was not very charismatic at all.
But the Sydney for this, who I can't remember her name, is you find out she's actually Billy Loomis's daughter.
Illegitimate daughter, yeah.
Illegitimate daughter, yeah. She's Billy Loomis's illegitimate daughter.
So during the Scream movie, when he's banging Dev Campbell, he was also banging this mom. So this girl got pregnant. So.
And so Billy appears like, to her, like he'll be in a mirror image, like nodding and giving her a wink, and it's like the whole movie, it's like she's resisting the urge to murder people. But it was pretty good. If they're going to make it, and I guess they greenlit Scream 5 today, or Scream 6 today. Yeah, they're going to have to do something about punching up the main character, because she's no Sidney. Like, in fact, the one that played Randy's niece, who's also one of the main characters in Yellow Jackets, right? She would be a better final girl. Like, she was a lot more charismatic, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. But here, the dynamic in this one is the opening minutes of the show or the movie. You've got the Drew Barrymore character that and it's what we saw in the trailer where Ghostface is trying to kill her, but the twist is he doesn't kill her; she lives, and then you find out that her sister is the Sydney, and she's brought in from because she's in her 20s. She gets brought in because her teen sister was almost killed. So I guess you could spin it where it's the younger sister is the main character, but the younger sister is not related to Billy in any way, but the older sister is. So
I felt like I like the movie. I always like the Screams because of the connections they have to the previous ones and stuff. But I found this one a little boring, a little predictable in terms of I knew it was two killers, of course. I knew it was going to be one of them was going to be that female because the killer kept getting his ass kicked. I mean, they barely hit it and it fall down, the killer. I mean, so I was like, okay, it's probably going to be a woman, one of them. And then I figured out it was that girl's boyfriend, like halfway through. I was like, okay, if it's two killers, it's understandably that he's attached himself to her because she knows it's his daughter, and that's why her boyfriend. So, and it all played out like that. So it just seemed a little predictable. They're saying that the fans are really got a mad on to have Stu come back, that he never died. That he's been in a coma or he's been in jail all these years, that, TV falling on his head that wasn't enough to kill him. And like the fans are really chomping at the bit for him to make a comeback. So, which would have been cool if they would have done it this movie. But now that all the fans are wanting it, it just seems like it'll be kind of a letdown if that's what they do for the next movie.
Yeah, but Stu was the most, probably the most enjoyable part of the
Oh yeah, but he
first movie. So,
best
and Matthew Lillard, I mean, he's still doing stuff like
yeah, Lillard's great, but like I'm saying, it's like I would have enjoyed it if it would have been a surprise. Oh great! Oh god damn, that's Stu. But now he wants it, and everybody's like talking about it. Bringing Stu back. If they were to bring it back, it would just be kind of it's okay. I hated that spoiler here that Dewey died. I thought that was kind of an unnecessary death in a weird way, and I hated the way that he was just like a putz living in a trailer after all this time. It was like it just didn't really do much to the character. He just was there just to die for no reason at all. Didn't really move anything forward. So, you established that Sydney's in a family outside of this state now, and so you're wondering if that's going to play in the next movie. I mean, it's just they've really opened the gate for a lot of stuff to continue these, but I hope they don't just keep doing the same old. They got to change it up a little bit.
Well, they tried to change it up too much in Scream 4.
They did.
Scream 4, which is funny, they don't reference it at all in Scream 5. And Scream 4 was do you know what happens in Scream 4, Brad?
I do not remember it whatsoever.
You're introduced to Sydney's niece, which I didn't know. Cousin, that's right. It's Sydney's cousin.
Yeah.
It's her aunt's daughter. But, the aunt was never referenced in any of the old movies. It's, when Sydney's dad dies, she doesn't go live with the aunt. So it's kind of weird, like that suddenly they've tacked on this other character, and it's like, well, obviously they're tacking on the character because it's tied to the killer. So, but the big reveal at the end of Scream 4 is that it's Sydney's cousin that is the killer. So you think that they're setting her up as the new final girl, and she's not. She's actually one of the two killers. So yeah.
What do you give this one?
I'll give Scream 5 a 3.
Wow. Okay. Worth seeing.
Worth seeing.
Out of 5.
God damn.
A what out of 5?
Out of 5.
Yeah, right.
I'll give it a 3 also.
Okay. So not that bad.
Let's see.
Scream is like one of those movies that you've seen them all, so you're going to continue to go see them. It's still fun. I mean, it's still a fun movie to watch, and it's always kind of fun to try to guess who's going to end up the killer, because they always introduce like 4 or 5 characters in it. They give you kind of throw you red herrings all through the movies, but I thought this was a little bit more predictable than usual.
Well, all right. But well, I'm sure you'll go see Scream 5 or 6 or whatever.
Six.
I will.
Six. Yeah, all right. Well, the other movie we have here, I've actually watched it as well. Nobody. Have you watched Nobody yet?
I
Podman
want to
Ron.
see it back, so I do want to see it.
All right. So can we talk about it?
No, yeah.
Oh my god!
The fact that it took you that long to. No, it's totally worth seeing. We'll talk about it. No, there is a couple of spoilers that are not really spoilers. But Brian, you saw it. You enjoyed it.
Yeah, and in my mind, it's Home Alone 7. So.
Oh my God! Yes.
Yeah. It's just Home Alone 7. Him versus the
Goofy crooks.
the Russian mafia.
It's pretty funny that you say that because my wife went somewhere or another, and so the boys and I were at home, and we watched The Shining and Nobody. And I think Grayson said at the part where the end where he starts making all this stuff in the factory or whatever, he's like, "This is like Home Alone." I'm like, "Yeah, it is kind of like Home Alone." So anyway, it is a John Wick-ish type story with Bob Odenkirk, and thoroughly enjoyed. Not necessarily a good movie, but I found it thoroughly enjoyable. Christopher Lloyd's in it. So that's got to account for something there, Podman Ron.
That's always a plus.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although it is sad when you see Christopher Lloyd looking so old, holding a shotgun and killing people left. I mean, he looks like he can barely stand up. He did not look comfortable. But
no, well, I think the movie gets extra points because Bob Odenkirk basically pulled it off.
Oh, totally, yeah.
He wasn't, like Matrix fighting like Keanu Reeves does, and he was getting his ass handed to him. So the fight scenes were pretty believable for the most part. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I wonder who they had cast for his brother, because I'm pretty sure that guy that they ended up with was not who they had in mind.
RZA.
Yeah. So. Oh, is that who it was? Yeah, because I feel like they had somebody else in mind to play that character, and they had to go down the call sheet a bit before they found somebody.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it was. No, you're right. That Bob Odenkirk totally pulled it off, and I think one of the things that I found more appealing to this movie than like John Wick or something, which are again fine movies and enjoyable and all that kind of stuff, is that he did get his ass handed to him plenty. And then here's a spoiler, non-spoiler. None of the good guys die. And I thought that was kind of almost refreshing in a way that normally, especially you had his father, he was fighting along with the side of his old father and brother. And in a quote unquote normal movie, you would expect one of those people to die. And that way, the main character would be like, "Oh, I've got to have my revenge on the rough and mafia." But no, everybody kind of came out unscathed for the most. His brother got shot in the shoulder, and that was it.
Yeah, so. And it also kind of brings you to you want to see the whole family dynamic now.
Right.
Now that the wife knows, and the dad and the brother are back in play. You guys want to see what it would almost be like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but like for the whole family.
There you go. Yeah. So for that reason, I thought it was a little bit of an 80s throwback almost. Kind of like a Lethal Weapon or something like that, to where it's like, none of the good people really get hurt, as opposed to, like John Wick, somebody kills his dog or something like, you have to go out on this revenge thing. This was a little bit more innocent in a weird way.
Yeah, what he gets back in it for is just because he has this mundane life. I will say this, Brad. He really overpaid for that factory.
Especially since it's, I don't know what the fuck he's going to do now. I guess he's got to burn that down.
He blew the shit out of it. Right? Yeah,
that's fine.
But yeah, when he paid for that factory from his father-in-law, he gave him basically like a duffel bag full of gold bars, and I'm like, that factory may be worth like 2 gold bars.
I was about to say, he'd probably get away with 1 or 2.
Yeah, like it wasn't a 30 gold bar factory.
No, not at all. But it was nice. He set it up. And again, the other thing that's ridiculous about these movies is that he set up all these booby traps, these Home Alone style booby traps for the Russian mob, not knowing that his father and his brother was going to be helping them out, at the end. They weren't part of the plan, but somehow they knew about all the booby traps, right? And it's, again, completely stupid but enjoyable.
Exactly.
I give it
yeah. I just took it as they learned all those booby traps from good old Papa.
I give it a 4 out of 5, actually. I think it has some rewatchability. And again, it's sort of a brain dead type enjoyable movie. And if you like Bob Odenkirk in the first place, you may be a little pleasantly surprised in him. Although, Better Call Saul is kind of, a nice dramatic-y, action-y type role. Whatever.
Yeah, I think if anybody else was in this movie, it would probably be a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
But Odenkirk gets bonus points because he pulled it off.
Right.
So I agree. I'll give it 4 out of 5.
There you go, Podman Ron. You got to watch it now. Streaming on HBO Max.
I'll watch it. This is a movie I've been wanting to see, so I'm going to take advantage of some dead time this weekend.
There you go.
For a change.
All right.
But for me, it'll always be Home Alone 7.
Yeah, it's totally Home Alone grown up. But yeah, so don't worry about watching your TV shows. Watch the movie. But going to TV land. I've been watching a few TV shows here, but I moved it over to actually I guess just one TV show in the What You Looking At because I haven't finished it. But you guys put Lost in Space, The Mandalorian, and Joe Pickett. I'm curious about this one, Brian.
Oh, Joe Pickett's not me.
Oh, it's not you.
That's me.
Oh my
Joe
goodness.
Pickett is me.
What? Well, let's start with Joe Pickett. What is Joe Pickett, Podman Ron? I'm curious.
Pickett is a poor man's Justified. It is the most absurd show I've seen in a long time that tries to pull off being serious and dramatic.
And where is it? Where can we find Joe Pickett?
Let me tell you the premise of Joe Pickett. You can find the fine programming on. It's a Spectrum original.
Oh, okay.
So
I think that frames it. That's good. I like that.
Joe Pickett involves the very dangerous job of the Wyoming Department of Natural Resource. He is a DNR officer for Wyoming, and he wears a hat kind of like Raylan's, but a little bit goofier, and he kind of looks a little like Timothy Oliphant in a way. It's clearly they were trying to cast to kind of look like that guy.
Not quite as handsome.
Not quite as handsome, and he's just a doofus. He's got a family, he's got a wife, he's got 2 kids, expecting a baby. So, the writers are trying to think, how can we make a DNR agent interesting? What kind of mystery can we have? So it's basically he's in this little small town, county in Wyoming, and it's a land deal, and this evil land deal people are trying to buy up all this land, and we're trying to figure out why they're trying to buy it up, and why is all these people getting murdered? Well, it turns out, to get the DNR agent into it, because they don't really investigate murders or do anything else, he has discovered that the people are getting murdered because they have found, the people who bought the land has found a extinct weasel living on the land.
Oh, wow.
And if there's an extinct weasel living on the land, then they can't build their pipeline. So they're trying to kill all the weasels so they can build a pipeline. It's so absurd, and they try to make it really dramatic. And he's fighting for his life, and his wife gets shot, and loses their baby, and all this for a weasel.
Does when they kill the weasels, does it go to like the slasher POV? Actually, like the Michael Myers where you can see through the eye holes as he's killing the weasels?
The way they kill the weasel is like Caddyshack. They holes and they blow up the holes, but instead of like polarity, they show like mangled bits of weasels everywhere.
Oh wow!
It's pretty gruesome. But most DNR agents would probably fuck this.
I ain't getting paid enough.
I think I don't get paid enough for this bullshit. Do what you want. I ain't gonna look. I mean, it's just really dumb.
Yeah, it seems like in real life it would be like, yeah, where's my payoff? I mean, I'm perfectly willing to look the other way. Just I'm going to get a little cheddar cheese.
Yeah,
it's almost almost 5 o'clock.
Not even that much.
It's almost 5 o'clock.
Grand.
Yeah,
kill all the weasels you want.
I mean, the first 3 episodes, all the townspeople are looking at Joe Dirt or whatever his fucking name, Doofus. And I mean, about his uniform as a kid and not being on. I'm like,
we lost you.
Yeah, we're losing you there, Podman Ryan.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
It's Big Oil. Big Oil's cutting in.
Yeah.
They don't like that.
They heard the plot.
Hey, so I'm going to be very surprised if there's a Joe Picket 2, season 2. But then again, it did keep, interested for 10 episodes. So, but,
You almost sound like you're being auto-tuned. Yeah, justified.
This is from the band that didn't like The Wire. He just watched 10 episodes of Joe Picket.
Yeah, just a bitch about
Department of Natural Resources.
Yeah.
I had to work. It was during my, so I had to, have something to do
All right.
while I was watching things.
All right, so recommend or no?
No, I would not recommend this show.
All right, do not.
I recommend watching Justified for the 4th time.
All right, Lost in Space. That's another one of your shows, though. You do recommend that, right?
Yeah, but we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. So.
All right.
Yeah, did we talk about the finale?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, excellent show. It ended at the right time. If they did decide to spin it off and it's Robot and Will, exploring new planets, that would be pretty interesting, too.
That would be good. I like the character Will in this. I like the robot in this. This was a really good sci-fi show.
I need to watch it.
They took a corny concept from the 60s and really made it a really interesting and good sci-fi show with some top-notch special effects for TV. I mean, very movie quality special effects.
And the biggest thing is, I mean, the effects are good. It's well written, but the casting of the family, everybody is great.
Yeah,
Judy's great. Will's great. What's the middle sister?
Penny.
Penny's my favorite one.
They were all great. I mean, they weren't annoying kids. I mean, that was the thing. They were kids for the most part. I mean, Judy. I mean, she was older. She was early 20s, but I mean, they were all great cast, great characters. And I'm looking for Molly Parker. I do. There's something about Molly Parker.
Well, go watch Deadwood season 1, and you can see her hairy armpits.
I've already Deadwood season 1. But
the hairy armpits didn't disqualify.
No,
even though that is gross. She was good in Goliath, first season of Goliath, and she's really good in here. So yeah, I like Molly Parker.
But yeah, great show. And probably the best thing about the show is, or other than everything we already mentioned, they knew when to wrap it up.
They really did. Yeah, they wrapped it up at a good time, and it had a definitive ending.
Oh, okay, so it's over. Series in.
Yeah,
It's
Okay.
over. If they want to, like I said, if they want to spin it out, because basically Will and the robot they're still trying to find planets that are habitable, and so Will, robot, and the Jupiter too, they go off and they go on these like 6-month missions to try and find other worlds that can be inhabited.
All right.
So
yeah, it was a good show, Brad. I would and your kids. I think your kids would like it.
Well, you think they would like to go to a toy fair too, but
Yeah, and I
that don't mean it's gonna happen.
Ain't gonna
Your dad will fucking take them. So come on.
No. All right. Moving on. I will watch it eventually, maybe. Now that it's over with and finite, that makes me feel better. I can, I know when it's going to end.
And Netflix didn't cancel it too soon. They let it finish.
All right, good. The Mandalorian and/or Boba Fett. I think 3 episodes behind or so. I'm not sure, but
Well, stop watching the first 4 episodes and just watch the last 2.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought there were only 6 to begin with.
No, there's 7. There's
Oh, okay.
1 episode left.
Okay.
Because you're not watching Boba Fett, you'll be watching season 3 of The Mandalorian in the last 2 episodes.
Interesting. Okay, so
It's
Mando comes back and makes an appearance.
not just makes an appearance, like they completely flip it. Boba Fett, in the last 2 episodes, Boba Fett's maybe been in 3 minutes worth of the show.
Interesting.
It's basically it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen a show do. They basically just completely ditch the main plot line and the main character and focus on the Mandalorian for the last 2 episodes, and Grogu and Luke and Ahsoka, and I mean it's literally. I talked to Alex earlier. He was it was like this is Mandalorian season 2.5.
Huh. Interesting.
So
Well, you know what? And this last one, the one that premiered last night, it was so. I mean, fan service out the ass. I mean, I was even excited for it because I mean we're seeing Luke Skywalker that we always wanted to see right after Return of the Jedi, and it's really cool to meet up with Ahsoka, who was Anakin's apprentice,
and seeing them on screen, yeah.
them on screen together. Really fucking cool to see. One of the best characters ever to come out of Clone Wars, in my opinion, was Cad Bane. One of the coolest designed characters, and now to see him in real life on this show,
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
they really fucking threw everything into this.
Were all
episode.
3 of
Even
those
though-
all 3 of those characters in the last episode?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
Yeah, man.
and it even
And
made it.
Luke had like 20, 30 minutes worth of screen time. A de-aged looking like just stepped out of Return of the Jedi. It's
Oh,
really
okay.
cool.
Wow. I need to watch
It almost
this. I
made
guess.
up for the fact that they killed Timothy Olyphant.
We don't know that. There you
Mm-mm.
go. That's another. Timothy Olyphant was in it. Raylan Givens. Timothy Olyphant playing Raylan Givens was
in space.
in space because
He's Space Raylan.
It's Space Raylan. But well, we don't know if he's dead. And he just ran up to him. He only got shot once. The other guy got shot like 3 times. So.
But yeah, it was very, very. I mean, the last 2 episodes, the 5th episode, it was like, oh, Mandalorian showing up for a minute, and then you're like 40 minutes in, and they still haven't shown Boba Fett, and it's like, what the hell is going? What are they doing?
They never showed Boba Fett that 5th episode.
And then now we've got this episode where Boba Fett's in it for like 2 minutes. But it's so weird that like the first 2 episodes of the show was Boba Fett getting out of the Sarlacc, Boba Fett befriending the Tuskens,
Right.
the whole montage of Boba Fett showing the Tuskens how to ride speeder bikes, right? Episode 3, they're all dead, and now we're introduced to all these goofball teens with their cybernetics and their Pee Wee Herman bikes. Like episode 4, like the Hutts and the Rancor thing, it's all just kind of like, oh, this is god awful. I can't. And then we get to episode 5. I don't know if the writers and the producers bored themselves to tears and just immediately course corrected, right? Or if this was the plan all along,
Right.
because I kind of think this was Filoni or not even necessarily Filoni, but Favreau basically saying, hey, look, Filoni needs his own Star Wars movie. You know, because if you take the last 2 episodes of The Mandalorian and then whatever we have in this final episode, you know, the big battle scene, that's almost like a movie structure. You know?
You know, and if you honestly, if you can de-age Luke that good TV show, they could do that for a fucking movie and really tell a really cool story that happened like right after the end of the Jedi. Go back to that time and forget all that fucking sequel shit. You know, 7, 8, and 9.
And it's like the Disney. It's like everybody loves Filoni. Like the best stuff we've gotten with Star Wars, bar none, since the 80s, has been the Filoni stuff. The Clone Wars, the Rebels, Mandalorian. That's the stuff everybody likes. This other shit, like it never lands. But they won't give Filoni a movie. And they won't make him like the Feige of Star Wars. They need a Feige for Star Wars, and they've got Dave Filoni, and they're not doing anything. So I honestly think they basically said, all right, well, we're going to sell it as Boba Fett, but really this is going to be like a backdoor pilot for Ahsoka and her show and Mandalorian, the next season of Mandalorian, and if we want to do the Marshals TV show, right? Because they had talked about that with Gina Carano, and you could have that Raylan thing be part of it, like why they established these Marshals for the universe. So, but yeah, I don't, and then bringing in Cad Bane as a big heavy, or even introducing like Kirsten, or Kirsten, so. Yeah, it's very weird. It's very weird, but the last 2 episodes have been excellent. It's just you had to slog through the first 4. I guess you didn't have to.
They aren't. You didn't miss anything if you missed it, right?
Right.
No, you really. I cannot believe how bad that Boba Fett show is. I mean.
Is that the general sentiment, do you know, of the fanboys, or does everybody else love it?
No, everybody's confused by it. Everybody's saying the same thing we are. You know, you took a cool character, you put him in charge of this crime syndicate, you're expecting him to do something, and he doesn't do. No one knows what the fuck is he doing. He takes tributes from other people, and he walks around. And that's pretty much it. I mean, it's...
Well, what about in episode... And then there's just these logic gaps. Like, in episode 4, they're confronted in the street by these assassins who have energy shields, and they encircle them. And it's like they forget that Boba Fett's wearing a jetpack. Like, what the fuck? Like, all he has to do is just fly out. I mean, they're not blocking him from flying out. They're encircling him. And it's like, what the fuck?
It is so bad. And you just don't understand. It's like, you've waited so long to finalize in a way, and then do this to do it.
But yeah, and he will now. Even Kevin Smith came out and said, stop taking the fucking helmet off.
Oh, really?
Like, leave the helmet on Boba Fett. So.
Wow. Hashtag leave the helmet on. All right, well, that's disappointing for Boba Fett, but good news elsewhere, it sounds like. I will have to check out the last few episodes, I guess.
Yeah, the last 2 episodes are great because they're just a palate or a palate cleanser and appetizer for Mandalorian season 3.
All right, that's good enough for me. I will check it out. What else? Retro review. Oh my gosh, I didn't even look at what we had on the retro review. We got a lot of stuff happening in the past. Well, I've got a litany of things just to roll through. So I'd already mentioned The Shining. But yeah, I've been busy too, Podman Ron. I haven't been watching no damn Joe Picket, but I've been catching up on my Marvel movies. I've been getting my Marvel on. And I've watched Black Widow and Eternals.
What'd you think?
Black Widow was almost insufferable. What's her face? Florence Pugh was the only bright and shiny moment of the movie, and she wasn't that bright and shiny. I mean, she was much more. I enjoyed her much more in Hawkeye, but she was about the only reason I kept watching. But yeah, it was almost insufferable.
Do you agree? It's really weird that they got, they've been telling us Black Widow, they've promised Scarlett Johansson her own movie all this time, basically to say, hey, we need you to show up, but you're going to be the least likable person and have the most boring storyline in this film.
Oh my gosh.
Really just setting up Florence Pugh.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's hard. But what they did with everybody else, and I'm certainly not going to give a full retro review on it, but I can't remember the Russian Captain America, the Guardian, and Taskmaster. Again, you had they just watered down characters so much to where it's just how do you make Taskmaster as uninteresting as possible? And they did it. Congratulations.
They did it.
The Taskmaster in the comic character, he's a mouth thing. He's funny. He's got charisma. He's a cool character. I don't know what the fuck they did. And it was supposed to be a big reveal that it was a female. And
Taskmaster love Charles.
Like, Bubba Jump. I mean,
gosh, yeah.
Mentally disabled, and then I actually liked Red Guardian. I didn't have a problem with him. I liked his backstory a little bit.
That's what I was about to say. The character and everything was fine in it, and the actor and all that stuff, but they didn't give him anything to fucking do. It's sort of like, oh, let's introduce interesting characters and not have them do anything interesting.
Right. Well.
And I couldn't shake the feeling watching that film or watching that movie. It's like you go to your job and then your boss comes in and says, "Hey, we want you to train your replacement."
Okay.
Well, and then the Black Widow died the whole time, and that's where.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it was definitely not worth watching ever again.
How about the Eternals?
Eternals, I didn't hate it as much as I thought it was. Still a very uninteresting movie. I'm not saying it's a good movie by any means. It was pretty to look at. But the characters were boring. The story was boring. I mean, I just did not give a shit at all. 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
I give it a 5 for the cinematography and that hot sex scene.
Eternals, my problem with that is it's just they introduced a lot of characters that could be used somewhere else, but flip-flopping, their storytelling was all out of wonk.
Yeah.
And I know they're cinematic with it, but it just made it all confusing and boring, and
just boring.
The Celestial was cool. I like the Celestial.
Yeah. Yeah, all of that stuff, the Kirby-esque type stuff, and the costumes were good and all that, but it's just like that's not enough flash, not too much flash, not enough substance. I don't know if you've ever heard that saying before, Podman Ron. I know you love your flash, but the other thing that I'm sick of, and I guess it's pretty much all the movies, is just the convenience of everybody's powers just. Oh, I have a power to create a sword out of nothing, and so therefore I never have to worry about losing my sword or whatever. And then again, when Iron Man was the same way, to where it's like, okay, well, in Iron Man 2, there was like, oh my gosh, he's going to get ran over in the racetrack because he doesn't have his armor on, and there's Happy has to get him the suitcase, and he does all of that. Now, you fast forward toward the end of Endgame and all that, and it's like, nah, he's always got his armor on. It's built inside of him and all that stuff.
It's kind of like Batman being equipped with shark repellent.
Yeah, exactly. Everything is too fucking convenient. I think one of my complaints about the new Batman movie, which I'm not sure if I want to go see or not, to be honest with you guys. I mean, I'll see it when it comes on HBO Max, but I don't know if I want to sit through 3 hours of Batman. But it's in the trailer where we saw people are shooting point blank at him with machine guns, and he's just waving it off because of his body armor and everything. It's like that It takes a
because
little bit of.
Batman, that's why.
I know, but you know what I mean. They're making all of these superheroes too conveniently powerful or something. They're too OP. I don't know. Too OP, and
especially
I don't like
when it's supposed to be more grounded.
Right.
So,
but we'll see. Holding judgment, but I'm not looking forward to a 3-hour movie. But anyways, Eternals, yeah, better than I thought it was going to be, but still very uninteresting and could care less about it. And I was looking forward to the end to see the horrible CGI of Pip, which they didn't improve. They had time to improve that even, and they didn't. I mean, it was horrible.
Yeah, it looks like it's a character from Toy Story showed up in the movie.
So, anyway, let me run through these real quick, Brian. The other ones that we watched with my kids, Wages of Fear, a 1950s French movie about these guys who are transporting nitroglycerin from one place to another, and they pay for it with Wages of Fear. Very good movie. The Shining, watched that with my boys as well. I could have sworn that they had watched it before because they knew everything that was going to happen, but they kept saying, "Oh no, we remember this from The Simpsons." So, like, Jack would get locked in the freezer or whatever, or the storage cabinet, and they're like, "Oh, the ghost is going to let him out, right?" And I'm like, "How do you fucking know that? Have you watched this behind my back?" And they're like, "No, it was Groundskeeper Willie did that in The Simpsons or whatever." I'm like, okay. So The Simpsons ruined The Shining for my kids. And then lastly, Border, which you may not be aware of, but it is a Swedish movie, I believe, from a few years ago, and just kind of a customs officer who can smell fear develops an unusual attraction to a strange traveler while aiding a police investigation, which will call into question her entire existence. So it's science, or more of a fantasy type movie, because she's not necessarily human, as it turns out, and it gets into some weird areas. But I recommend that if you can find it somewhere. Border. Podman Ron, does that pique your interest whatsoever?
Can you
a customs officer as opposed to a DNR?
The DNR officer,
All right.
So.
Can you give us a quick PMR rating on all 3 films? Rapid fire. Black Widow.
Black Widow 1.
Eternals
1.
Wages of Fear
3.
The Shining
3.
The Shining?
Yeah, I mean,
Border.
Again, you should watch it. 3.
Right.
Yeah, so again, Shining and Border were The Shining. The problem I had with The Shining sort of was that, and I know that the movie, which is considered a classic, of course, I enjoyed the movie, but the movie differs, I think, widely from the book, which I'm assuming has something a little bit more to do with The Shining itself. Like the movie The Shining seemed like it was more focused on the ghost story rather than the kid's ability to converse with people mentally, telepathy.
Yeah. The book. So the book delves a lot more into Anthony's, because the son's name is Anthony, right?
Yeah, let's say it is.
I think I'm almost
Danny.
certain it's Anthony.
Danny.
Yeah, that's right. It's Danny. His middle name is like Anthony.
Okay.
It's Daniel Anthony Torres. Torrance. But so there's a whole subplot where he has like an imaginary friend named Tony,
right,
who's a little bit older than he is, right? And so he'll say, well, Tony told me this, and Tony said not to go in that room, and Tony said this, and Tony said that, and the mom gets frustrated with him, and the dad's like, stop talking about Tony. Well, it's basically Danny, like in the future, telling him, like trying to guide him, right? So it's like that sixth sort of sense sort of thing going on. And Scatman Crothers does not die in the book.
Thank God.
He lives, and Danny's mother, they moved, because you remember he says he has family in Florida, And so when they get out and they leave, they go to Florida, and that's where Danny lives until and Scatman Crothers basically is like a father figure to him.
Oh, okay.
Like, I'm trying to think what other differences there are in the film. They get a lot more in depth into the ghosts and what the deal was with the ghosts. Like the guy that created the Overlook, and the guy in the dog costume, like what the deal was with that. Yeah. So it gets more into like the history of the hotel and a lot of like the subplots of the different ghosts that are in the hotel.
Yeah, so that's why that's why I give it a 3, because it's sort of like if there were so many things that felt like it was not finished, sort of like, or whatever. But anyway,
have you watched Dr. Sleep?
Yes, and that felt like it went the other way to where it was less. It wasn't a art house movie. It was more of a, more poppy type modern movie, which it was.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be more the sequel to the book than the.
Yeah, you could tell it was. You could tell it, again. It didn't. They don't fit together at all.
Yeah,
the two movies. So that's mine. All right, Train to Busan.
Train to Busan. It's one of those. It's been in my Netflix queue for probably 3 years. And I finally, you know what, I'm going to watch it. And I gotta say, it's considering how much zombie glut we have now.
Right.
Post-apocalyptic zombie, all that kind of stuff. It's really well made.
I'm glad you enjoy it.
The logistics of a lot of the attack scenes are genuinely kind of nail biting.
Right.
And where you see the stuff going wrong, it's believable in how it's going wrong, and the way they kind of took the environments and created these scenarios around the environments, whether it's on the train or in the train depot or in the train station, all that stuff was really entertaining, and it's a great zombie movie.
Great little zombie movie.
It's a good film. Absolutely. I mean, there's no English dub of it, so you got to read it. But even that is totally fine. No problem with the subtitles. And it introduced us to a man who would later become Gilgamesh in the Eternals, Don Lee. So
yeah, well, there you go. There's your tie-in.
There's your tie-in. But it's a good movie. They don't explain, really how the zombies start. It's just everything goes to shit. The only gripe I have is they said the train trip was only supposed to be an hour. He actually says that, early in the film, because he's bringing his daughter to see her mom, and man, they were on that train for a good 7 hours. It was not a quick jaunt.
No, it was not a jaunt.
And what's weird too is because they keep getting these broadcasts of everything going to shit outside the train, what's happening in the city and that sort of thing. And it's like, this shit escalated in 45 minutes to this point. That is a little. That's a little wonky. Some of their timetable stuff is weird. The timeline stuff is weird, but. Yeah, it's a really, really good movie. And I know it's subtitles, PMR, but I absolutely recommend watching it.
Yeah, definitely.
Subtitles, man. That's too much close to reading.
Yeah, that's true. It's good. I gave it a 5 out of 5. It's good. And I have not yet.
Really?
What's that? What do you roll your eyes at my 5 out of 5 for Train to Busan?
It's really good. It's really good. Here's the thing, PMR. If you watch it for the first 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you don't realize that you're just reading at that point. You're reading it.
It's like you go see Ghostbusters.
You got to sound it out loud. Your reading proficiency should be at a level that it's no issue. It's no issue to do it. So, but
yeah, you keep cutting out in and out there.
What language is it in?
It's Korean. It's Korean. But just pretend like you're at Ghostbusters Afterlife. You'll be okay.
Oh,
Sorry about that. No, it's a great movie, and one of the things I love about foreign movies in general, especially you know horror movies and stuff, you for the most part you don't know who these people are, so everybody's up for grabs. You don't know who the hell's going to die. Like if you're watching a Tom Cruise movie, you figure he's probably going to make it out alive. But with these, it's like I don't know who the movie star is, so anybody could die at any moment type thing.
And I would argue that this guy's got one of the top 10 bad guys of the last 10 years in the film. That Weasley, CEO or corporate guy is a piece of shit. God, like you just want him to die. Like bite him. Every time there's a scene, I'm like, bite that guy.
Yeah, bite that guy. And where do you watch that on? Is it on Net or Amazon? I think. Where'd you watch it?
I think it's on Amazon.
On Amazon. Also on. Yeah, I think it is on Amazon. I haven't watched it yet. It's Seoul Station, which is the animated prequel to Train to Busan.
Oh.
Seoul, the city, Seoul.
Like Seoul,
Station.
Korea.
Yeah. So I think it probably gives all the backstory of everything. All right. What else? Oh, anything else that you want to review, Podman Ron?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
All right, we'll try to go to really quick of what you looking at? What you looking at, Brian? Guardians of the Galaxy video game.
Yeah, Eidos, which is the company that does Tomb Raider, has put out a Marvel video game around Guardians of the Galaxy, and the Avengers game was just hated. People hated the Avengers game. And the Avengers game's got some open world components. You can play as multiple characters. Guardians doesn't have any of that. Guardians, you're playing as Peter Quill the whole time. You have like a game function where you can manage your team, where it's like you can use Groot's special ability to do almost like an RPG. Like it's almost like a role-playing game for the team and a first-person shooter for you. So basically, your 4 buttons are assigned to either Gamora, Groot, Rocket, or Drax, and so you use those buttons to get them to launch attacks while you're in a first-person shooter mode. So it's kind of a hybrid there. It's full voice cast. It's there's voice acting through the whole thing. There's comments constantly happening. There's side dialogue chains that you can unlock. There's all sorts of Easter eggs. Just in the first 5 minutes of the video game, it starts. It's first person view. You're Peter, and his mom comes in, and then you can kind of explore his bedroom. And in his bedroom, he's got a Chewbacca action figure. Like the Chewbacca action figure from the 80s, the exact figure. He's got a poster of Dazzler, and it's the cover of Dazzler #1.
Yeah.
But it's made into like a concert poster. Lots of cool Easter eggs throughout the whole game, and it's a really cool game mechanic. Being able to. It's you can unlock outfits and stuff, but you're not going in. It's like, okay, now I'm going to play as Rocket. Now I'm going to go play as Drax. Yeah. Now I'm going to play as Gamora. It's singularly Peter Quill, and everybody loves it. It's done much better than the Avengers game, and it just seems like it was probably a side project, and they left them alone.
Yeah.
And they had the free reign to do what they wanted to do, and they just made a really good game.
Oh,
so
there you go.
Guardians of the Galaxy. It's available on all platforms, Xbox, PlayStation, and even the Nintendo Switch. You have to play it in a cloud. It's a cloud game where you have to sign into the cloud to play it because the data is much too large for just a Nintendo Switch to be able to process. But yeah, sometimes you have problems getting into the cloud and that sort of thing. It's kind of a nuisance because it'll take a couple minutes to launch. But once you're in, it's a really good game. So, 5 out of 5.
All right, 5 out of 5. The only thing that I'm kind of looking at, although I've fallen off, I think I may have completely fallen, is Yellow Jackets. Brian, under your suggestion, started watching Yellow Jackets with the wife, and I kind of got it's interesting, but then when you do this, you get into the co-viewing habit, and maybe you knock out a few episodes one night, and then it's like, oh well, I'm going to be doing this. Well, wait for me on that. So I finally just said, you know what, you go ahead and watch them. I may or may catch up with you. I don't know. So I think I've watched 3 episodes. Good, interesting. I just don't know if I'll finish it.
Well, and that's the whole thing. Is it's like did you watch that without me? God damn it! Like I didn't know you wanted to watch it. Or hey, you want to watch this? Well, I can't. I got to do this. I got to do that.
Exactly.
Like, so you can't unless you're both free to watch it at the exact same. It's not. It's not like, hey, I'll watch it now. You watch it later. We'll talk about it tomorrow, and then watch the next episode. Nope. We got to be watching it at the exact time and experiencing it at the exact same moment.
Right.
So
what's Yellow Jackets about?
Oh, we piqued your interest. It's
Well, I've for it, so I was kind of curious about it.
It's a high school girls soccer team, which right there, you got me there. No, crashes in the middle of some woods, and they have to survive and do things weird to survive. And Brian pointed out, there's a little bit of supernatural elements in the woods and stuff like that. So, and it tells that story, and then it also does a time jump and tells the story of when they're adults as well and things that they're going through.
So it's set like in the mysteries. It's set in the mid-90s and then current day. One of the girls has The Shining, right? And so whatever's happening, you don't know if she's going crazy or if she's actually interacting with stuff that's malevolent in the woods. But yeah, it's and then there's a mystery today about, well, who actually survived? Who made it out of the woods? And somebody's blackmailing the girls now, threatened to tell what they did back in the, when they were in the 90s. And everybody's basically like, and they haven't shown any cannibalism yet, but everybody, they're quasi-celebrities, coming out of this because they're like, they're teenagers. They were lost for almost 2 years in the woods, and it's like, well, how'd you survive? You ate people, right? You had to have eaten people. And it's like that nobody talks about it. They all
it's a big mystery of how they survived.
What happened in the woods? So,
but yeah, it's good. I don't know if I'll stick with it, but it's good on Showtime.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to look into that.
I will say it's got the absolute worst theme song of any show I've watched.
And long. The opening is long.
Yeah, and long.
Yeah.
It's a really long, obnoxious theme song.
Yeah. Like the Game of Thrones open is long, but you watch it and it's enjoyable. It's an enjoyable. Yeah. It's kind of like Daredevil or whatever type, thing. Yeah, you're right about that. So you have to skip the intro. But yeah, we need to help you out find a new TV show to watch there, Podman Ron.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was not to change the subject. I was reading a release. The new data reveals which Marvel shows drove the most Disney Plus subscribers.
Oh, which Marvel? So say that again. You cut out a little bit. What was that?
Which data reveals which Marvel shows drove the most Disney Plus subscribers?
All right. Which ones?
So, which one do you think it would be?
It wasn't Hawkeye.
It's too recent for Hawkeye.
Out of the 5.
I'm assuming it's got to be
Falcon.
Loki.
Oh.
Well, you would be wrong on both. Hawkeye drove the most.
Wow.
Oh, did it?
Loki and What If drove the least. The two that's been picked up again has drove the least subscribers, but Hawkeye drove the most, followed by WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier.
See, I thought they said that Hawkeye was getting beat by oh crap! Oh, Hawkeye was getting beat by Lost in Space.
No, according to this, it caused the most subscribers.
That's interesting because back in December there was an article that said that Hawkeye was getting beaten by Lost in Space.
They lie.
And The Mandalorian is really popular. But what blew them all out of the water is, but it was released during the pandemic, was Hamilton. Hamilton blew them all out of the water.
Still haven't watched that.
During the pandemic?
Yeah, this goes back to it starts in 2020, so it goes to till just this last month. So, where Hamilton...
You heard it here first, folks. PMR declares the pandemic over.
It's over.
Over.
Good for you.
Over like a year ago.
Good for you.
It's about time. Y'all get y'all's asses back to work.
What? No. I'm working. I'm working, boss.
Come on.
All right.
Well,
that's a lot of stuff we covered.
God.
Yeah, I think that about does it. We're at like a 2-hour episode.
Just about. Yeah, 145.
You're welcome, listeners.
Coming up. What do we got coming up? We got.
That's what I call content.
That is good content. What do we got coming up? We don't. I don't know of any movies that are coming out other than
we got Moonfall.
Oh, that's out now, right? Or
Moonfall, yeah, it comes out tomorrow. We've got in 2 weeks. We've got Nathan Drake.
Yeah, but there's something else coming out this month. What is it?
Uncharted. Nathan Drake.
Oh.
Yeah, something else popular coming out this month. Maybe I'm thinking of the Batman in a month.
Yeah, Batman's first week of March. Oh, Batman tickets go on sale the 10th.
Mm.
So keep that in mind, listeners, so you don't run into the same issue we had with Spider-Man Far From Home. But yeah, February 10th, pre-sale goes out for Batman.
Yeah. What about any Disney Plus shows coming out? I mean, I think the next episode we'll talk about the Rap Maker.
The what maker?
When does Peacemaker?
Oh, Peacemaker. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have the finale by next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marvel is going to be Moon Knight. So after Mandalorian season 2.5, we're going to get go right into Moon Knight.
So we've got some interesting stuff coming out.
Yeah.
I will settle on a TV show.
Death on the Nile. Death on the Nile is February 9th. So this week is Moonfall, and Death on the Nile is next week.
Yeah, I'll let y'all watch that.
Yeah. I don't think so.
But that's a pretty big movie for February.
You know what they say about February movies, though?
What do they say about February?
That's just where they just throw shit out there just to
throw shit out.
They're too terrible to they'll release during the Christmas holidays or the summer days, so they just kind of throw them out there just in hopes that someone will watch them.
Or in time for award season. They're trying to get out in time for award season.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're trying to get Nathan Drake's Uncharted
out for award. I don't know. People love that Tom Holland kid.
Award season.
People love that kid.
That kind of looks pretty good.
Problem is, if you go watch it, it does well. Maybe that's more reason for him not to come back to Spider-Man.
They'll throw some money at him. He'll be okay.
Yeah, they'll back up a truck to him. I'm sure we're gonna start hearing about some renegotiation with him soon because they'll make $1 billion movie and not try to renegotiate your contract a little bit.
He can be replaced.
Hey, this is interesting, Brad. On February 25th, they're re-releasing The Godfather in cinemas for its 50th anniversary.
Wow.
But they're doing that with Wrath of Khan this year, and I can never find a place for it. So.
No.
My AMC's got it.
I mean, check it out.
Meticulously restored in 4K high dynamic range. It took 3 years.
To restore it? Wow.
There we go.
How about that?
And that's sad, is no one will be able to tell.
Yep. No, it's still gonna look like an old movie to me.
It's still gonna look grainy, yeah. That's one I haven't let the kids watch yet, but or Jacob. Jacob could probably watch The Godfather at this point. But have you let your two watch The Godfather yet?
No. But I did see that. I think we've watched parts of it. We haven't watched the whole thing. Not really related, but it just made me think of it. Untouchables. The Untouchables is on HBO Max.
That was what I was saying a while back, that it's a part of that like quasi historical
Tombstone.
universe.
And, what was the third one?
The Patriot.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, HBO Max dropped a bunch of stuff. I won't say it's a bunch of good stuff, but Chinatown is on there. As well as, I got to believe it's one of your favorites somewhere or another, Ice Pirates.
Ice Pirates.
Yeah. That's something to watch with the kids from 1984. The Ice Pirates.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got to believe that's a horrible, horrible movie, but it may be fun to watch. Every Which Way But Loose.
Never heard.
Oh.
We may have seen.
That would be a good one to watch with the kids.
Yeah, we've seen that before. I would almost bet we saw that together, Podman Ron. The Ice Pirates.
What is it? I don't remember Ice Pirates.
An interstellar band of pirates steals from the rich to give to the poor, helps a princess find her lost father, and discovers a source of water to slake the thirst of the entire galaxy. It's a sci-fi comedy.
I think we might have actually did see that.
I think we might have, yeah.
Robert Urich.
Yeah.
God rest his soul.
God rest his soul. Iron Giant. All right, yeah, so lots of stuff there.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah, lots of good stuff. Yep.
All right, well, Podman Ron, I hope you find a TV show that suits your needs. And you can maybe give us a review of something.
Speaking of Robert Urich, has anyone watched the Spencer for Hire movie on Netflix?
No.
I have not.
Just curious.
Who was the star of it?
What's his face? Marky Mark.
Jeremy?
Mark Wahlberg.
Right.
Oh.
Mark Wahlberg was Spencer, and who was Hawk? Was it Winston Dukes? Hang on.
Oh, God. 40 means nothing.
Hold on.
All right, talk amongst yourselves.
No, that's
here.
the TV show.
No.
Spencer Confidential. Came out in 2020.
Yep.
When the pandemic still was a thing, right, PMR?
Yeah, when it was still a thing.
When it was, a thing.
When we were being told it's a thing.
Yeah. Winston Duke was the Hawk.
No, good recall.
So, yeah.
That's good casting.
Yeah. I may have to go watch Spencer Confidential before we jump back on the podcast.
I would love it if you
we
did.
didn't even talk. Did we bury the lead that they're bringing back Quantum Leap?
We talked about
that last episode.
Okay, all right. Okay, just making sure.
This is sad. Okay, don't make fun of Podman Ron and his montages. All right, Podman Ron, find a new TV show for yourself next week.
I will. I will find something better than Joe Pike.
Thank you. But until next time, Brian.
Save it for the podcast.